Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Florida Staffing Association weekly webinar presentation. Today we are joined by the Omnia Group and Tanya Devane. Tanya currently works with senior and mid-level managers to select top talent, manage more effectively, and build high-performance teams using behavioral assessment tools and concepts. She has been with the Omnia Group for 12 years and has spent many years helping customers identify needs and implementing innovative solutions. Tanya, thank you and the Omnia Group for your support of the Florida Staffing Association and all of our members. And we just want to welcome everyone to this presentation of Florida Staffing Association to learn, share, and grow, and the Omnia Group's presentation of how to communicate, engage, and stay connected in a remote environment. So Tanya, let's get started. Thank you for joining us.
Perfect. Thank you for having us today. Again, my name is Tanya Devane. We're going to talk about connecting in a remote environment. Now, I don't know if any of us are this remote working in this type of environment, but I can help you even if you are on top of a mountain and help in regards to how to manage and lead your team. So let's first start off with the with what is rewarding and meaningful work. That's what all of our employees want. It really doesn't matter if they're working in the office, if you're transitioning them back to the office, or whatever stage you're in right now. But when we're looking at what do our employees want, these are the two main things. They want to feel rewarded and they want to feel like their work is meaningful, like it's making things happen. And one way that we as leaders can do that is one, making them feel safe, and meaning that it's okay to make a mistake. Like, I'm not going to get fired because I forgot to put the period at the end of the sentence. Or, oh, I messed up on that report, I got it a little late. Let's make sure that people feel safe to make mistakes. And I'm not saying that, every time you make a mistake, we're going to give you a parade down Main Street. No, but if we are so nervous to make a mistake, then that's going to stall your organization because people aren't going to be willing to take risk and move forward. Also, you want to show compassion, especially during this time. I like to say that we are all on the same journey. So we're all trying to get on the other side of this. Just some of us are at mile marker 200, and then some of us are at mile marker 20. So we have to show compassion for people that are still at mile marker 20, even if we're at mile marker 200. And then autonomy. And when I talk about autonomy, it's talking about the power to shape their work environment in ways that allow them to perform at their best. And so you want to give that autonomy to your people. You want to empower your people. I know sometimes empowerment is so overused, but it's such a great example of how people can feel rewarded and feel that their work is meaningful, especially when I can't come right down to your office and say, John, you did a great job. But, by me giving you some of that autonomy that we are working remotely and me feeling comfortable and feeling happy that you are happy that you're working from home, not because of the reason you're working from home, but that I'm not over micromanaging you and nervous that, oh, they're probably not working, they're probably not doing what they're supposed to do. So I want to provide that autonomy to our people. And then connecting the work and purpose. So that's where that meaningful piece comes into play. We want to make sure that, we talk about our mission and our vision. We want to make sure when we're talking to our people that we're saying your role provides this towards our mission and vision. Because of you, we are able to accomplish X, Y, Z. And make sure that they know it's because of them and not just because there's a body in the seat, but it's because you, John, came to work and this is how you assisted our clients. And our mission is to have to put customers first. Next is that connect efforts and reward. So this is the rewarding part of this statement. And so I'm not saying, again, that everyone gets a blue participation ribbon for just showing up. I'm not saying that, but we do want to reward efforts. Sometimes, you've probably seen people that have given 110%, but they just came up a little short of the goal. Let's go ahead and reward that effort, and then let's work on what can we do better next time so we can get you all the way to the goalpost. or to the finish line, or whichever sport, analogy you want to use in this scenario, but let's see if we can get you across that finish line. So when you're thinking about remote working and connecting and communicating, I want you to kind of really start here with making sure that their work is rewarding and meaningful to them. And then how can we get the most from our team every day? The first thing is trust. If you don't have trust, you're kind of starting behind the 8 ball. How many sports analogies is she going to say in this one webinar today? I don't know. You can keep count. But I am missing live sports. I will tell you that. You want to think about trust. And the way you build that trust is action matching words. It's always like my mom and dad said, it doesn't depend on, it's not what you say, it's what you do. And so if your actions are saying, yes, if your words are saying, I have an open door policy, come on in, talk to me, send me an email, pick up the phone and call me anytime. But then every time they do, you don't seem very receptive to that mode of communication, then they're not going to believe you. And so then you're going to start burning that trust. And the quickest thing to lose is trust, and it's the hardest thing to earn back once you've lost it, because people are always going to look at you kind of sideways thinking, well, I don't want to get fooled again because I thought I could trust them, but then they turned out that I couldn't. And then next is the foundation. You want to make sure when we're talking about communicating and connecting in a remote environment that we have the foundation in investing in technology. Now, probably at this point, you may have already had that in place, but making sure that we do have these things in place, like Microsoft Office has, Teams, and you have this Zoom like we're doing here today, or you can gamify, and we'll talk about that, some of your engagement strategies. And so we want to make sure that they have the technology, they have the phones, they have enough Wi-Fi, they have all of the apps built in to the computer system that they're using. I know here at the Omnia Group on March 17th, I'm in Tampa, Florida, that March 17th, we all started working remotely. And so our IT team had a big meeting on March 16th saying, okay, we're going to start working remote. And they just went through everybody's computer and make sure they had everything that they needed. And I contact them, not constantly, but I'll be like, oh, well, I don't have this app or I don't have that app, because once you start working remote, you start seeing the different things that you need to utilize. So making sure that you have that foundation piece. Also, making sure that they still understand that their objectives are the same, whether you're in the office or if you're working at home, that we still want to understand the objectives. And we want to make sure that they understand that they're shared objectives, meaning what we can do to help the company grow and be better and function. And then there's personal objectives. So that personal development plan, even if your employees are working from home, they still want to feel some personal development, some personal growth. I know here they've been given some great webinars through the summer, and because people can't actually go to classes and gain that knowledge that way. So making sure that they still have some personal development that they're doing as well, because that's going to make them feel better. That's going to make them feel like, okay, I can start truly making a difference because I'm gaining this knowledge. Next is guidelines. We want to know the when, the how, the what. When we're talking about, trying to build that connection, trying to build that communication, we want to give those guidelines as well. Maybe, email for this type of for this type of scenario, or maybe we need to get on a video call, because nobody, and I've seen so many memes, want that, email. We're about to hop on a video call right now, and everybody's scrambling, trying to put on their Zoom shirt and their mascara, and trying to get ready for the Zoom call. Like, what do you mean? I thought this was just going to be a conference call. I didn't know I had to put on makeup today. So we want to make sure that we establish those guidelines so we don't catch people off guard. And then lastly, the variety. Now we like a lot of different, we have different ways to communicate, so that offers a lot of variety. So let's try to mix it up. Not everybody wants to read emails. Some people, they do want to have a conversation. I know here at the Omnia Group, because we are a behavioral profiling company, so I know we talk a lot about behaviors. And so I know one of my colleagues, she is not as social. So that means she doesn't want to be on the phone as much as I may want to be on the phone. So sometimes I'll just send her an email, kind of a check-in, or I'll do something through chat to kind of check in with her, just because she is not as she doesn't need to have that social interaction via phone calls, but she does like to kind of catch up and how was your weekend, but she doesn't necessarily want to do it on the phone. So having that variety and utilizing that variety and then using the variety or the mode that makes the most sense is also beneficial. That's how you're going to get the most out of your people every day, is by creating that foundation, that trust, giving them the objectives and goals that you want, making sure that they're still developing themselves personally, as well as offering that variety and giving the guidelines. And then when we're talking about the 3 steps to remote engagement, so there's 3 pieces. One is consistent communication. Now, I know when we first started back on March 17th, I was getting over communicated with. I was over communicating because I was so nervous that we weren't going to have this bond that we used to have, where I could just walk down the hall and see Heather, or go talk to Wendy, or whoever I wanted to speak with. But when we went remote, I think everybody kind of like, oh, we have to still stay connected. So literally, I was saying good morning to everyone in the office. I mean, everyone that works with Omnia. And, they were saying good morning to me. And I was like, I never did that before when I was in the office. Like, I didn't go to each office every morning and say, good morning, good morning. I didn't do that. But for some reason, I felt this need to do it when we started working remote. But so that can, so you'll see a big rise in the communication initially, and then it kind of levels out. But we still want to be consistent. We still want to make sure that we are reaching out to our people once a week. In some cases, it may be every day. We want to make sure that we stay on the message and that the message stays consistent. So because that will also provide this safe kind of feeling for people that now I'm working remote, but I don't know, did leadership have a meeting today? Usually I could tell because I could see them walking to the training room to have the leadership meeting. And then I wonder what they said in the leadership meeting. So you want to make sure that people are still getting that communication, that we still know what's going on in the organization, what's happening. You want to kind of be proactive in that communication as well, especially during these times, because people are feeling a little uncertain. Are we going back to the office? Are we not? Are we going back to the office 100%? Will it be, Mondays and Thursdays? Or what does that look like? So communicating that so people aren't having the kind of ideas swirl in their head. And sometimes those ideas can be a little scary because we're always going to go to worst case scenario. Next is know yourself and know your people. You need to understand how your people communicate. You need to understand how your people, what type of challenge they want, what pace they work best under, and how much structure they need. That's going to help you a lot when we're talking about the remote worker, because understanding their innate traits is going to help you kind of build those objectives and build the who, what, why, and build that trust. And then knowing yourself. Am I a manager that I know I need to step outside of myself some and give those public praise and kudos because I'm more of a factual type of manager? So understanding those 2 pieces, or understanding yourself and understanding your people, is going to help you in regards to managing the remote team. And then leaders who seek and listen. Engage yourself, be empathic. You don't want to judge and you don't want to interrupt. You want to find out what the issue is, what their concerns are, what they're happy with. Listen to that. And some people you have on staff, they're not necessarily the ones that are going to raise their hand first and say, I have a problem, I have an issue. They're the ones that are just going to sit there and suffer until they can't take it anymore. And that's why sometimes you're surprised when people are handing in their 2 weeks notice, because you never heard a peep out of them. Like, they never complained. They never said they were unhappy. Because you have some people on staff that are so risk averse that they won't say. They'll just suffer until, okay, I'm turning in my 2 weeks notice. I've gotten another job. So we want to seek out we want to ask questions. When you're going to have a meeting, a Zoom meeting, a conference call, whatever that mode looks like, it's nice to send out an agenda ahead of time. It's also nice if you're going to ask questions, give that to them ahead of time. You will have a better meeting, because you have some people on staff that they need to process it. Like, you ask a question, they need to process it, they need to filter it, they need to kind of go through their Rolodex. and kind of do a double check to make sure that they don't sound stupid, because that's what they're thinking. If I just blurt something out, oh, they probably weren't going to use it anyway, now it just sounds stupid, I made a dumb suggestion. But if you send out the question ahead of time, because some people believe in think tanks and having these brainstorming sessions, and brainstorming sessions are great, but not everybody is great in that moment, meaning not everyone can come up with an idea right then. But if you send out the question ahead of time and then have that brainstorming session, you can get better results. So there are 17 different personalities in your organization. So like the entrepreneur, the persistent leader, the operation leader, and there's 17 different leadership styles. So when you're thinking about, managing a remote team and trying to stay connected, you have up to 17 different personalities that you're trying to connect with. So that's why it's so beneficial to understand what these personalities are and what their natural behavioral traits are, so you know how you can adjust your style. And so these personality traits, or these 17 personality styles, are made up of level of assertiveness, communication style, pace, and structure. So let's get into that a little bit further. Level of assertiveness. So in Omnia speak, it's called columns 1 and 2. So if I go in and out of the columns 1 and 2, remember I'm talking about level of assertiveness. I'll try to stick with level of assertiveness and not talk about it in columns. So a column 1 is someone that's assertive, proactive, plays to win. They like to impact their bottom line through their individual efforts. Where a tall column 2 is someone helpful, supportive, collaborative. They like to know that their piece of the puzzle is in the puzzle, but they don't have to have the largest piece to make up the big picture. So when you're thinking about managing a column 1, when you're thinking about managing someone that is highly assertive, you want to think about, how can I give them ways to compete? How can I give them ways where they can be the leader? It could be like, for example, if you have a sales team, having a leaderboard that you have that can kind of check, so they can kind of check their stats on how they're doing. If you have a column 2 on staff, you think about, well, how can I make sure that they know that they're an important, integral part of this organization? Basically kind of putting their role and putting their mission and connecting those two dots. That's how you can make sure that they understand that they know that they are a strong part of the team. It's because of you that allows me to go out and sell, because I know that you have the home front and you are, handling business in the office, but you're handling that business side of it while I'm out doing sales, or while I'm out doing XYZ. So letting them know those two things is going to be beneficial. So that's how, one way you kind of start connecting with that remote worker. But you first have to understand their level of assertiveness to see how you're going to manage that. Next is communication style. I love communication style. This is my favorite pair to talk about when I'm talking to clients, because it's not always what you say, it's how you say it. And if you say it in the wrong way, you can get two completely different results. Because what happens is, if you are this relational person, someone that's gregarious, great at building relationships and rapport, and you're talking to this analytical, fact-oriented, speaks in specifics type of individual, when you're talking, that analytical person is probably having glassy eyes, like, oh my goodness, all I did was just answer the phone. Why is she giving me, kudos and congratulations? She's just telling me the story. Could she get to the meat of the matter? Or on the opposite side, let's say you're this analytical person talking to this relational individual, and now that relational individual is like, all she does is just bullet point everything. I have no point of context of what she's saying, because she's really just saying words right now. I don't get that. And so understanding that communication style is going to help. If you have this relational person on staff and you are trying to connect with them in a remote setting, making sure that you give them those kudos, those congratulations, making sure that it's in a public way. So maybe we're doing a company-wide email, or maybe we're putting it on a team chat. I know here at the Omnia Group, we have Engage, Excite, Energize. That's one of our little teams, and that's where we put all of our kudos and congratulations where we can do peer to peer, so we can say how good someone is doing. So don't think that it's always just upon you as leadership to keep the team engaged. It's, so it's each of us, have a part to play in that engagement process. And then with your analytical people, you may want to just send them a private email, or you may want to just send them a private chat to say that they're doing a great job. And you want to make sure that when you're telling them that they're doing a great job, that you're telling them exactly what you're congratulating them for. So just saying, John, you did a great job today, thank you, and John is this analytical person, that means nothing to John. It's like, okay, thanks. But if you say, John, you did a great job handling that call, I'm so glad you didn't have to escalate it, the client is very happy, thank you so much for your diligence and really finding a great solution that works. Now John has something to hang his hat on. Now he's like, okay, so you really are giving me a congratulation and you're not just giving me some fluff. Analytical people, not necessarily a big fan of the fluff. And so relational people, I'm not saying that they love a fluffy, kudos, but they do enjoy, you don't necessarily have to be as specific when you're talking to a relational person, when you're giving them those congratulations and kudos. And then when you're giving the critique, you want to give that fact-based feedback as well. We want to make sure that, that they know exactly what they did right and exactly what they did wrong. And when you do that, that's going to help in the communication, because now we're not going to have to keep repeating the same thing twice, because the relational person was talking to the analytical person and the relational person actually did say something important, but it was so wrapped up in a story that the analytical person missed it. So it's kind of like, what did you say? And so once we understand everybody's communication style, it's going to help in regards to creating those connections. So now the next one we're talking about is pace. But before I get to pace, I'd like to do this quick little exercise. So when I ask you to, I want everyone to close their eyes. You can't go to sleep because we're still here, but I want you to close your eyes and then open your eyes when you think 30 seconds has elapsed. So everyone got it? Okay, close your eyes. Okay, so the people that I can see, Shonda opened her eyes a little bit quicker than the other person, excuse me. And so I'd like to do this exercise because when I told you to open your eyes, you were actually that was actually 30 seconds. I've done this exercise where people have opened up their eyes at 15 seconds. So if you opened your eyes, before I said open your eyes, your pace is quick. So now let's imagine that we all worked for somebody that opened their eyes at 20 seconds, right? So now you assign that manager assigns us a task to complete. And it literally takes 30 minutes. Couldn't do it any faster if I had a jetpack filled with jet fuel. Couldn't do it any quicker. But when she assigns the project or the task, it takes me 30 minutes, but she's thinking that it's 20 minutes. Like, she's like, well, why are you so slow? I'm thinking, I'm not slow. The task literally takes 30 minutes and it's 29 minutes and 59 seconds. So like, why are you saying that I'm slow? That's because her pace is quick. So understanding that pace and adaptability is important. That column 5, or the person that likes variety, is someone that is a multitasker, strives to get things done quickly and can handle competing priorities. Where someone that's like routine is more routine oriented. They like to complete one task before moving on to the next. And so when you have these two different pace and you're managing them remotely, what helps to understand is maybe I give that person that likes variety some of the short goal tasks, some of the things that, maybe answering phone calls, live chats, while I have my like routine person on more data intensive type, long range type projects. So here, Cynthia is our benchmarking specialist. So what she does is she takes data from our clients and builds the model that we're going to score their candidates against. So she builds the benchmark for that particular role that the client is hiring for. Now, she is this like routine individual. I am the like variety type person. So I am here to answer the phone, do the live chats, do these webinars, go out and speak with clients and do different things. And she is there to do that long range data intensive type of number project. So this is how we are both working at our strengths right now, because she's able to do her thing and not be interrupted, and I'm able to do my thing because I enjoy interruptions. I enjoy, being able to go from one thing to another. When I'm looking at my email, I'm kind of going all over the place to see which one can I get first. And with Cynthia, she reads it from the bottom to the top because she is more methodical in the way that she works. So understanding that's why Omnia separated our roles so we can all be working to our strengths. So when we're thinking about that remote worker, and we want to make sure that our like variety people, as a manager, I want to make sure that they have some tracking tools in place, that maybe make sure they have Outlook reminder on, or if they're using their phone, Siri or Alexa, or having some type of alarm system so things don't fall through the cracks. And if I have this column 6 person working remotely, I'm going to make sure that I give them a priority cheat sheet or a priority checklist, so they know when something does come across their desk, they'll know where it goes in that timeline hierarchy, so they don't feel overwhelmed, like, oh my goodness, I got 8 things and I just don't know what to do. Like I can't make a move because I don't know what move to make. But if we give them that priority checklist, that's going to help them start making those moves. Now, the next pair we talk about is structure. But before then, let's talk about this delicious peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Now, I love this peanut butter and jelly sandwich, hence why the picture is here, because I picked it. And I wanted to kind of display level of structure, right? And so I said, well, maybe I can find some instructions on how to make this peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I said, great. And so I found these instructions. And I mean, take a slice of bread, open the jar, pick up a knife, insert the knife, withdraw the knife. So, I mean, I felt like these instructions were heavily detailed in regards to how to make this sandwich. Now, I've used this slide before with a colleague and we were co-presenting, and she is opposite from me. So she is somebody that is highly detailed and I'm more of a big picture person. And so as soon as we got to this slide, she was like, well, that's wrong. She was like, the bread in the sandwich is toasted, but you don't tell me toast over here. You don't tell me if you want 60% peanut butter or 40% jelly. And I'm looking at the instructions thinking like these instructions are heavily detailed. I don't see how you could add a number 9 to this. But when she saw it, she instantly saw that, yes, you could have. So now let's imagine if you're assigning a project and you think that you gave enough detail, but the person that received the project is like, well, I still don't know what to do. I don't know if they want me to alphabetize this list or should I give it to them by volume or date? I'm not for sure. So now they're kind of stuck. And remember, if they are the individuals that are not as assertive, they may not raise their hand and say, hey, I have a question, or send you an email saying, hey, I have a question. I don't know exactly how you want the end product to look. So understanding who you are is beneficial. And then understanding who you're communicating with is also beneficial, because me being this person that is independent, resilient, thick-skinned, big picture focused, thought that was a lot of instructions. But I gave it to somebody that's more structured, and she didn't feel it was detailed at all. So that's why when we're thinking about that remote worker, we want to make sure that we understand how much detail do they need. I definitely don't want to overmanage or micromanage anyone. Even this highly structured person doesn't want to be micromanaged. But I want to make sure that I've set them up for success and they can execute the plan that I had in my mind. And the way you do that is, one, making sure that you have all the details, and then asking them, do you have any questions? Is there anything that I can clarify? I'm here to help you. We want to make sure that they understand that we are here as, as a coach, mentor, as a guide to help you reach your goal or execute this plan. If I have a column 7 on staff, I want to give them the kind of like the X, want to point them to the X and say, go forth and conquer. But, you may need to offer some parameters, some barriers, because we all have a boss. We all have regulations that we need to follow. So maybe those are some of the barriers that you have to put on this independent type of individual. I like to say the independents would ask for forgiveness and the structure will ask for permission. Everybody's asking questions, right? It's just a matter, are they asking on the front end or the back end? What we're trying to do with remote workers is we're trying to limit some of those questions and kind of get those already answered when we are assigning the task, when we're assigning those duties. So when you're looking at the columns, the 1 and 2, that level of assertiveness, or when you're looking at the level of assertiveness, the communication style, the pace, the structure, this is kind of the blueprint to help you in regards to managing your people and helping you understand, how do I need to say this? How much information do I need to say? How much information do I need to give? What timeline do I need to give them to fulfill the project? Having all that information and what works naturally for your people is going to be beneficial. It's going to move your business forward. It's going to move them forward. They're going to feel rewarded and meaningful, like they're not letting you down because they missed the deadline or they didn't get it right. And they're going to feel proud about the work product that they put into it. So when we're looking at engagement, because when we get it wrong, when we get these behavioral traits wrong, this is, we'll start seeing missing deadlines, because you are at, you opened your eyes at 20 seconds and it's really a 30-second job or a 30-minute job. You opened your eyes at 20 minutes. And so I'm missing a deadline, but am I really missing the deadline? But engagement status, when you start seeing people missing deadlines and we actually have an accurate time on it, that could be one hint that, okay, something's going wrong. They're pulling away. Also complaining. Now, sometimes we will have these Daryl Downers that, we brought bagels to the office. I'm on keto. I don't even know why they brought this. They could have just put it in my check. I mean, I know we've heard this thing, but when we're talking about that engagement status, if you see somebody that didn't complain before and now they are complaining, that means that they're starting to disengage. Lack of communication. You had somebody that was your celebration captain and was the one that was always the good morning, and now you see that retreating. This is kind of a yellow flag saying, okay, I need to get on my game because something's going on here with this individual. And then resistance. When people are resistant to change. Now, the methodical people that we talked about earlier, they are not as flexible as the fast-paced individuals. But this resistance is, no matter what happens, they just, they're like, no, that's not how we used to do it. I don't understand why we're doing it that way. One way to kind of help them is kind of show them some of the benefits of why we did make this change. And then quality of work. So if somebody was always turning in A+ stellar work and you start seeing it slip, don't necessarily blame it because they're working remotely. Maybe there's some foundation, maybe there's some technology that needs to happen. Maybe we need to talk about their objectives. Maybe we need to give them some expectations of exactly what we want it to look like. And then lack of ownership. Oh, that's not my job. Nope, I don't know why it didn't happen, because that wasn't my roles and responsibilities. We want to make sure, one, that everybody understands clearly what their role and responsibilities are, especially when we're assigning different tasks. And there's some systems that can help you in regards to that. I know Microsoft has SharePoint that helps you in regards to project management, and you can assign that in SharePoint that, Tanya, you are supposed to do X, Y, Z and put the date in it, and that can help you. So if you start seeing these things happen, you know that your engagement status is going down, and we need to kind of re-engage that. So let's talk about how to re-engage. When we're looking at this remote worker, first we want to think about head, heart, hand. So the head is, do they have the knowledge? What you want them to do? Do they understand what their job looks like in a remote setting? Next is the heart. Do they have the passion? The heart one is a little harder because that's kind of something that you want to figure out really early on, especially during the interview, about the passion piece, because it's hard to kind of get that passion back. But if they had it before they went remote. So it's there. We just have to kind of reignite it and find out what's happening now. Is it their setup? What can we do to kind of make that better, to kind of bring that passion back? And then hand, meaning the tools. Do they have the tools that they need? Do they have a phone line? Do they know how to operate the phone line? Do they have the systems, that the intranet that you all utilize? Do they know how to use that in a remote setting? Do they have the VPN? Do they understand how to log into the VPN and not go off of, you know, just their own Wi-Fi? And so understanding these pieces, the head, heart, hand, can help you start getting them re-engaged, because now we're getting to the root of the problem and where we need to kind of build from there. Next is communicate goals. I know you've heard communicate a lot, because that is the key. We want to make sure that people understand what their objectives are, what their goals are, and I am here to help you reach your goals. But if you don't give me a goal, if you don't let me know, then I'm just working blindly. And then accountability. I love accountability. Accountability to me is not a dirty word. Accountability brings up the level of everybody's work. Because if I know that you are going to hold John accountable for coming in late every day, or in this instance, signing in late every day, then okay, then I'm going to make sure that I sign in on time. But if you're just loosey-goosey with the sign in and loosey-goosey with the, with the output of work, well, then why am I getting up? Why am I breaking my neck to get, to take my commute from my bed to my office and getting my coffee? If no one cares, then why should I care? So we want to make sure that we have some accountability in place. Also empower your people, but you want to make sure that you're empowering them the right way. Meaning, if you want me to do a project, let me know what your expectations are. After you tell me that you want the spreadsheet of the last quarterly clients, and you want it sorted by volume, and you need that on the 15th of every quarter, guess what? I'm going to give it to you on the 15th of every quarter, because now we have established the guidelines. So you have empowered me to take ownership of that project. When we talk about empower, what you really want is you want people to feel like they are the CEO of their role and responsibilities, because you want them to take ownership of that. You want them to be like, yes, this is my job. I'm going to make sure I execute this job to the best of my ability. So you want to give them that control and empower them in that way, that they feel like they can build their job. And then have off-topic communication. Not everything has to be, well, the Excel spreadsheet is due. I need you to do this project. What is the call log? Not everything has to be that, that straight up. Let's have some off-topic communication. How was your weekend? Oh, I know that I saw in the picture that you got a puppy. How is your puppy? Those types of things can also build the touch points, because sometimes when we transition from an office to home or working remotely, we lose some of those touch points. So we want to make sure that we create those. And when you create more touch points, you create that trust, you start building, and you create those connections. Because now I don't just know about Cynthia being the benchmarking specialist. I know Cynthia as a pen enthusiast. I know that she loves her dogs. So understanding these little pieces about your employees and about your coworkers can help build and keep that connection strong. Because think about your family. You have a lot of connection with your family by, Thanksgivings or different holidays or different traditions that you may do. Those are the touch points that you've created with your family. Start trying to think of ways to create those touch points with your employees. And it starts off with, one, finding out their passion, finding out their hobbies, find out what they're doing on the weekends. I know in Florida, in some parts, we're not doing a lot because it's still kind of shut down, but seeing how they are doing within that shutdown, like what book are you reading? Things like that can kind of create those touch points. So when we're thinking about improving our leadership, especially in that remote setting, one, you want to recognize the employee's strengths and challenges. If it is this person that is this highly assertive person that we may love, and in a sales role. But if we are hearing that, maybe they're getting a little stressed, so now they're coming across as a little more aggressive, we want to make sure that we recognize that and kind of nip it in the butt and get on that early instead of later. Next is open communication. What's the word of the day? Communication. We want to make sure that people feel open to come and talk with us, that they feel free to pick up the phone or send me a chat or send me an email, or excuse me, get on a chat or send me an email. We want to make sure that people feel that they can come talk to you. That is how you're going to help move the organization forward. That is how you're going to help them feel connections, because I know that I can come and talk to you if I have a problem, issue, or if I have something great to talk to you about. Enhance your motivation and engagement efforts. And we want to make sure that we're engaging them in the way that they need to be engaged. If I have this gregarious person on staff, and I know that they enjoy the public praise and kudos, I want to make sure that I'm giving them the public praise and kudos, because that's how I know that they're going to stay engaged. When they do a great job, making sure that I notate that and let them know that they're doing a great job. That's how you can kind of enhance those motivation and engagement efforts. And then provide a foundation for career pathing. Even, I know we're working remote, but people still want to feel challenged in their role. Not everybody wants to move into a different position, right? But everybody wants to feel some challenge in their role. So getting some professional development courses would be beneficial, or, giving them more, helping them gain more knowledge in the role that they're in. So just because I can't get a new job title doesn't mean that I can't learn something new in the position that I'm in. So creating that foundation for that to happen is beneficial. When you're leading a remote team, you want to make sure that you provide empathy, equipment, encouragement, and reinforcement. We want, like I said earlier, people are at different mile markers. So we want to make sure that we recognize and empathize with the mile marker that they are, that they're at currently. The equipment, that's just the technical piece. Let's make sure that everyone's connected. Let's make sure that everyone knows how to use all of the equipment that we had to bring home. Encouragement, it's so stressful now. I know a lot of people are feeling stressed. I know we've done a couple of webinars for leadership in regards to how do we as leaders kind of manage our stress and in this time, so we can help our people, because our people are feeling stressed, we're feeling stressed. But as a leader, we have to try to hold on a little bit. But it doesn't mean that you have to have this stiff upper lip. Communicate and say, I know this is a stressful time. I hear you. I'm stressed out as well. But what has really helped me focus is kind of knocking down some of my goals that I've had for myself. Then you start getting into that goal conversation and try to get that encouragement, try to get that motivation up. And then reinforcement. Mean what you say what you mean, and then reinforce the goals. Reinforce your expectations. Reinforce that you are here for them, that you are out here fighting for them. Your people want to know that you fight for them, and that's what you kind of want to reinforce, and that can really help them. That can really help them in regards to them feeling connected, because I know I'm not on an island by myself, or like that picture that we saw initially. I'm not up at that mountaintop all by myself. Even though my coworker or my manager isn't right next to me, I know they still have my back. So you kind of want to reinforce those feelings. Then these are just a couple. We have two type of personality styles that we see a lot of. So the first one we're going to talk about is the entrepreneur. So this is somebody that is assertive, gregarious, a multitasker, that is a big picture focused individual. So if you have someone on staff like that, some of the tips that you can help to kind of keep them engaged, motivated, and connected is obtain upfront agreement on essential policies. So that again that's talking about that, giving them a lot of leeway, but then making sure that we create some of those barriers or some of those, these must be done, some of those must-haves. And then reward consistent compliance with more autonomy. These entrepreneurs, they like that freedom. They like to feel like they can just fly. But initially, we may not be able to let them fly all by themselves. Like, we may have to fly right next to them just to make sure that they are going in the right direction. And so, but once we start seeing that, we want to go ahead and start giving them that more autonomy. And then lastly is create opportunities that highlight their creativity. Remember, they are outside of the box thinkers. So highlighting that this could be a great person that could possibly be your celebration captain. So you don't have to sit there and think about well, how can I engage my remote workers? They may have some great ideas that maybe you didn't think of. So bringing them in, one, is going to make them feel good with that, that assertiveness being first, like, oh, she picked me, and that column, excuse me, and that gregariousness, meaning that they like that attention on them. Now they're able to do and be that with the celebration captain. And so thinking about including other people, and this could be a great way, this could be a great person that could handle that for you. On the opposite side of the entrepreneur is the administrator. So this is someone that's helpful, analytical, methodical, with a high attention to detail. And so if you have this person on staff, you want to, sorry about that, you want to make sure, I see that I have the same slide for this one, but I can just tell you, and I can get that out to you. See, I told you, attention to detail. I try to go back and double check, I did. But with this one, you want to make sure when we're talking about the administrator, that if you have this administrator on staff, you first want to make sure that they understand how important they are to your organization. And that's how you're going to keep them motivated. Next, you're going to make sure that they feel safe, that they understand the expectations that you have for them. And then the third thing that you want to do with your administrators is making sure that you are providing them fact-based kudos, fact-based critiques, and making sure that it's in a private setting. That's going to be the most beneficial for the administrators. So because the administrator, they strive for perfection. They want to make sure that they're getting it right. Sometimes your administrators can come off as a little defensive because they made a mistake. So they're beating themselves up more than you would. And sometimes that can come out outwardly. Well, you didn't tell me that that's the way you wanted it. So to avoid some of that, or to avoid that, what we do is make sure that we give them detailed instructions. So like my peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I didn't give enough instructions. I needed to give more. And that's how you can kind of help that administrator feel connected, because they don't feel like they're out there by themselves. And so work can be fun. The way we can make work fun is in being inclusive, meaning let's get everybody. We have a couple of different groups here at the Omnia Group. The sales team has a little group, the service team has a little group, and then we have one big group for the whole office. Because your sales culture is different than your service culture. So having those little groups so they can feel their connection in their little microcosm world is great, but we all need to feel connected to everyone in the organization. So that's why we also have a big Omnia group that we have chats on and do happy hours on. And happy hours is the next one. Doing your happy hours, maybe with a theme. That's so great that you can do on Zoom. I know one time we did a decades theme, and people dress up in their 70s and 80s and 60s, different type of era. So doing that is fun. And then having friendly competitions. Friendly competitions, nothing that, no money involved, but we did one with who could decorate their office the best. And so it was just a friendly competition, and everybody kind of took a snapshot of their office. Other times we did, whose office is this? And then, so you can have friendly competitions and then have those celebration captains. Like I said, you don't have to do all the work yourself. When we're thinking about making work fun, you want to make a plan. You want to, gamify it. There is a great game called Kahoot that allows, everyone just has their phone and you can see it on the screen. It'll ask a question and then you answer it on your phone and it pops up a leaderboard. So that's a great way to kind of have that good time, have a good time at work and making it fun, because not everybody, we all don't want to just do the 8 to 5 or the 9 to 5 doing the spreadsheets and talking to clients. We want to have some fun outside of that as well. And these are some of the ways that you can do that. Just, make sure that you have a plan, and you don't have to just rely on yourself. Get other people involved. So as we come to a close, really, you want to know your leadership style. You want to understand, are you a strategic leader? That's someone that is direct, blunt, to the point. Maybe you are someone, with those strategic leaders, I always suggest put 4 pennies out, on your desk. And then by the end of the week, you should have sent out a congratulations, a kudos, or an attaboy or, you know, had a conversation with someone about what a great job that they're doing. The pennies are there just to kind of remind you, because the strategic leader sometimes gets so wrapped up in their day-to-day that they forget to go out and say congratulations. Appreciate your employees' innate traits, like Cynthia Brooks, our benchmarking specialist. I love that she is this methodical person, because I would not want to have to do the benchmark studies. You know, can I do one? Yes. Would I enjoy that being my job every day? No. So that's why I'm not the benchmarking specialist. I'm able to do these, you know, the webinars, able to talk to people. Then set the expectation. If I don't have a goal to go towards, if I don't know what you want, then I don't know what to give you. And then how do you know what to judge me on? So making sure that we're setting those expectations. Providing the development opportunities. There's so many webinars right now because people aren't able to go to conferences like we're doing today. We're doing it here virtually. Check out the website. Get you know, find out other opportunities, other webinars that are being offered. Communicate consistently. We want to make sure that everyone knows what is going on, because when we are left to our own devices to kind of think of what may be happening, we are going to think of worst case scenario. Show appreciation. You want to make sure that your people know that you want them working for you, not just anybody. Just like when you're hiring for somebody, you want somebody that wants to work for your organization and not just work for any organization or just to get a job. They want the job with you. Then lastly, take a survey. You know, you don't know what your people want until you've actually taken the survey. So maybe everybody is on ketos and the bagels that you brought in was not great. But you wouldn't know that unless we took a survey. So you want to make sure that you are taking surveys and your people know. And then let me say this, when you take the survey, act on the survey. I've had some clients or some employees tell me that, yeah, they gave us the survey, but they didn't do anything with it. Nobody wants that. So we want to make sure that if you're willing to give the survey, be willing to act on that survey as well. I want to thank you all. I'm opening it up for questions. If this is my contact information, if you do have any questions. I also want to say one thing is that by joining our session today, we are offering everyone a free assessment, and this is completely free. You're going to click on the link, and then you can take it, and we will send you your assessment. So you will find out what columns you are. And so I will go ahead and open it up.
Thank you, Tanya, and thank you, everyone. We do have a question here, Tanya. And for everyone, if you have a question that you would like to ask, please submit it through the chat box and we'll get it right over to Tanya. But one of the questions we have is, what have you found is the biggest challenge with everyone working in a remote environment?
Right. The biggest challenge has been the connection. People feel disconnected because you have people on staff that really enjoyed that social interaction that we got every morning when we came into the office, or having that piece of, this is my office, so this is my workspace, and now when I'm at work, I'm at work. When I'm at home, I'm at home. And so people feel like now my work has kind of worked over to my play space. So the way to kind of help with that the first biggest challenge is that feeling connected is, one is using video chat. You would be amazed how connected people feel when it's on video chat. We want to give a pre-warning that, hey, we're going to be on video so people can get prepared for it. But then you have to make sure that everybody turns on their video. And that's why we're also going to say it ahead of time. We expect everyone to turn on the video. We don't necessarily have to have the video every single time, but throughout your meetings, throughout the month, there should be one meeting or at least one a quarter where everyone can see everyone and we have that social interaction that way.
Great.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
One other question for leaders who possibly haven't really thought about managing in a remote environment, such as many people are in today. What is your suggestion for how they begin to determine what types of people are on their team and how they need communication. Would that be through going back through these slides, or can you just give us a few quick points on how to do that when you're already remote and you had not thought about it before?
Yes. So one would be going through the slides, because I kind of give you some adjectives that can explain or discuss that kind of talk about the person. So like, oh yeah, that's John. Oh, that's Jane. That's one way to do it. Of course, the Omnia assessment, shameless plug, is a great way to do it, because that's going to tell you their innate natural traits right there, because they're selecting the adjectives that say that's them. But then also having a one-on-one conversation with everyone, saying, I know we've worked, I know we're transitioned to remote working. What is the best way for me to communicate with you? When I have a project that I need to assign to you, how would you like me to do that? So besides the Omnia profile, having that one-on-one conversation and getting it from the horse's mouth on the best way to manage them in this type of setting is my best answer.
Okay, great. I don't have any more questions in the chat box. Is there anything? We have about 2 or 3 minutes left. Anything that you see that comes up commonly, Tanya?
Yes, I know when I've talked about working remote in the past, people ask me, well, what kind of activities can I do? One of the most unique ones that I've done is a movie night, and maybe not a full-length movie, maybe we do it in parts, but having everyone kind of come on and talk, and everybody watch the movie together, and then kind of have a talk session afterwards. Another one is doing a book club where everyone reads the same book, and then we kind of have a discussion afterwards about, we give everyone a timeline of when you need to read the book and have that discussion afterwards. I know another question that I get in regards to remote working is about the communication piece. I know we spoke a lot about it today, but communication is so important, and it's more about just having the one-on-one type of conversations that can elicit a lot of information. And if you are a manager that knows that sometimes, I kind of sit, when we were in the office, I was the kind of a manager that kind of sat in my office and kind of worked and kind of just worked on my work and didn't really go out. In this environment, you're going to have to go out. You're going to have to send that email, and you may want to just set up a reminder to say, okay, send an email to the team today, or, send an email to John today. We may have to kind of create these reminders to help us kind of come outside of ourselves to make sure that our people are still feeling connected.
Okay, I have another one that's come in. How do you deal with an employee that isn't working at even close to 100%?
Okay, so I would go back to my head, heart, hand. So I would have a conversation and find out why. So is it because they don't have the knowledge? Is it because their setup isn't very conducive? And if there's something that we can do about that, do they not understand what the goal is? Do they not understand how to execute the project that you're giving? So I would have to find out initially what the root cause is, and then from there we can start building on how to fix it.
Okay. All right. Any other questions coming in quickly? That last question, thank you, Tanya, for the answer. And I think that concludes our webinar today. Tanya, this was very interesting. Thank you so much. And everyone, the slide presentation will come out to you. And please take Tanya up on her offer to go through the assessments with her and her team. I think it's a great exercise.
Yes, you can email me. You can email me, tdevane@omniagroup.com. It's also on the screen. It takes maybe 15 minutes, if that long. And like I said, I want to keep it is completely free. Like, we just want you to experience it, because once you start having that self-awareness, you will see, you'll see the light bulbs. Like when I read mine, it was the good, the bad, the ugly when I read it. Mm-hmm. And I want to thank FSA for giving us this opportunity to kind of have this discussion about connecting with remote workers.
Great. Thank you so much. Please pay attention to our emails and our website for the next upcoming webinars, and have a great evening. Thank you.